Hail, hail! The Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now, guys? We are here on a Monday, just setting some screens up and everything else. Apologies, I did mean to have this one teed up for you. But we're here on a Monday, and the aftermath of a Scottish Cup game that, was certainly more exciting than I think we wanted it to be going into it, and maybe the right context given how the game went. And we've got another draw. We're through in the cup. We've got a midweek bit of action to keep up with. There's going to be a busy, busy week here on the channel. The first thing, which is what I'm trying to just fire up here for you, is if you are watching this live or after we've been live, I put a poll out on the channel yesterday. I think I want to say it was. So if you jump onto the channel homepage, which you can do so by clicking on the CeltsAreHere link anywhere on screen, or just searching it on YouTube and then going to the channel itself. And if you go to the posts page here, it should be on your feed anyway if you're on the mobile YouTube app, but in case you've missed it, if you go onto the post page, you'll see I'm running a wee poll here. Now, I kind of want to close this off by like tomorrow morning, maybe tomorrow afternoon. So by the time I certainly get to Wednesday morning, I want to be able to see what you guys think and feel. What I'm hoping to do throughout the rest of February is try and have a consistent day, a consistent time each day where we go live or put the content out, just to try and make it a bit more regimented and get a proper schedule on the channel for all you guys that are supporting the content here, just to give you guys a bit more of an anchor to when to expect some videos or when anything will be out in any given day. So if you could vote on that, it will mean a lot. And yeah, I'll do my best to keep it coming right here on the channel. So thanks again to everyone that's voted so far. A lot of votes already, but if you haven't done so, please do so already, because I still want to do all the recorded content that we've got here on the channel, but my editor's actually just got a wee job for himself, so he's getting his career on track, and I need to come up with a new solution for how I process and stuff. So I'm looking into different editing options, but also one thing I'm quite aware of is like every Celtic channel is live only, essentially. Maybe there's one or two that are the opposite, that are record only. And I know it doesn't really hold any channels back or anything like that, but I do feel that some of the content here is a bit better when it's edited up, in terms of like the post-match breakdowns. I can get some still images from the games, or I watch the video, but when you see the edit, you just get the still frames with the little things on the toy and everything. And if I'm live, I can't really do that to the same extent. So I'm trying my best to firm everything up for everyone, just for it to be as good as possible. And I need schedule in my life. My life has kind of really went off the rails the last couple of years with, me being the master of my own, like I need a schedule, I need a regiment back in the building. So if you could vote, that would be fantastic. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about all things Celtic Dundee from the weekend, because we were expecting the team to be much changed. We did the preview video. I was expecting a few more goals for the Hoops, but we did expect, after we heard from Martin O'Neill, that there would be many changes rang in. And a big part of that is down to the fatigue that a lot of players have been carrying on their legs to this point, but also the fact that we had some new signings and maybe we'd have the ability to freshen it up. Fist bumps to you all on arrival. Everyone who's joining us live and loud, love to see you all here. Smashing the like button, let your thoughts and feelings be known in the live chat. I'll put the chat up on screen. Audience participation is always welcome. 2 derbies in a week back to back is not good for my nerves, says Stuart, and I definitely echo that. Paul says doing the Axon pre-show would be ideal. I did say, 11 a.m. is one of the options, but I did also think on a Monday that would be like double time for me, but it is what it is. It's fine by me. We need to get the new guys up to speed real quick, as we have a huge number of essentially must-win fixtures going forward. I'm with you there, M Young 7654. But yeah, good to see you all here live and loud. And if you watch this after we've been live, of course, thank you to you as well. Fist bumps, smash the like button, and get into the comment section. Let me know thoughts, feelings, and big takeaways. Because if we put the team that started the game up on screen, there was a lot to watch out for here. I was on Axel earlier today and chatting about somehow this system's got Mvuka down as Mugisha. We'll just fix these guys around so we can get their names up. Yang and Mvuka. So for me, it was all eyes on Joel and Mvuka, and particularly in the opening in the first half. And in the second half, you're also a lot more interested in the likes of Adamu. And did anybody else come off the bench that was particularly interesting? Let me just refresh my memory real quickly. Sriracha, I suppose, was interesting to watch, to see his return. Tuneki was impossible to take your eyes off of in this one. But outside of that, I was paying particular... let's give it a Hatate here and bring in Rio. I was paying particular attention to Paulo Bernardo. Now, I actually think there were kind of two sides of the one coin here, Hatate and Bernardo, because with all this new blood coming in, if I can go sideways before we go forwards, these guys have been here since Ange. You know, they've been here since Ange ball, they've been here through Rodgers ball, and then everything that's been on this year. And both of them have had very different Celtic careers to this point. In this game, I want to say, first of all, for context, it's important that for everything that we discuss, that we do remember this is Dundee that we're playing. It's not Auchinleck Talbot or Bucky Thistle or Stenhouse Muir or Albion Rovers or Greenock Morton or something like that. This is a SPFL team. So this is a very good, you know, gauge on opposition in terms of where some guys are at, where they could be at, where they could get to, what we need them to be, that sort of thing. And for me, I was very interested to see Bernardo start this. I was going to say surprised, but I wasn't too surprised because the players that we spoke about in the pre-game show was Dyson Maeda, Arnie Engels, Kieran Tierney in particular that have been played to the nth degree. You know, they're in the revs, are carrying so many minutes in their legs at this moment in time. So I wasn't surprised to see Bernardo come in for Engels. I would have maybe suspected this could have been McKeown. Might actually see McKeown come into the match later. But it was good to see from O'Neill that he's gave Bernardo, because I think that's one thing that the Bernardo fans and the Celtic fandom will say is he's not had minutes, he's not had a regular crack at the whip and stuff like that. And starting a game like this, you want to see him influence the game. And I'm thinking again back to Auchinleck Talbot, we had Michel-Ange Balikwisha get the start in that game. And again, there was a lot of onus on him to do something, you know, show us something, show us what you've got, show us why you should be wearing the hoops every week, show us why we signed you and how badly you wanted to make it work here. And the number one, the two top things I've always said about Bernardo in a positive sense is, number one, you can tell he plays for the badge. Like you could tell, like when, I don't think at the weekend, but outside of the weekend, really, he plays for the badge. He loves being at Celtic. He wants to be a big Celtic player, and he really gets it in that regard. And we've seen that when he was on loan and when he first became permanent, how he used to, like, you'd see him when the camera would pan to the bench and Bernardo would be just as animated as a fan, you know, cheering the players on, cheering the result on, that sort of thing. And the second thing is, I've always said about him in a positive sense, is you always know where he is on the pitch. You know, he might not be grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck or whatever, but you always know where he is. He's always influencing the play. He's always bumping off of people. He's always taking the ball in tight spaces. But that game of the weekend there was the most, I don't know. Honestly, some games this season, I have really struggled to keep on top of Arnie Engels, where he is, what he's doing, what he's trying to do, what he's meant to be doing. Also, when you're not at the game, it can be kind of hard to follow people with the camera angle. But I have never struggled so hard to keep on top of a player as I was Paulo Bernardo in this game. He only played the first half, of course, but he was missing in action. And I actually feel bad for Araujo, or not bad, but I feel for Araujo in this game because he had a lot of heavy lifting to do in this one. Truth be told, I actually missed the first half when it was happening live. I had to watch the first half this morning to get up to speed for everything today. So maybe I've got a bit of a different lens on it, having seen it after the moment rather than as I normally do. Kind of watch it as the game goes on, take notes, review the highlights thereafter. But honestly, he was offering, I think he had like 2 moments where he did something okay, where he would take the ball in a tight space, lay it off to someone, keep the move going, and then maybe try and like press Dundee when they won the ball back. But he and McGregor just want, in that match at the weekend, they just wanted to live in the same space too much, and they just got on top of each other. It wasn't a huge surprise that O'Neill took Bernardo off because of that, because Hatate, you know, it was weird, right? I'm kind of all over the place, which is why I prefer editing these videos sometimes, so sorry, right? But stay with me. Because Hatate, on the flip side of Bernardo, where we're looking at Bernardo and saying, you know, show us something, do something, and let's get you back into the reckoning here. Let's get your career back up on track. And it didn't really happen. Now, in terms of the negatives I've always said about Bernardo, they were all kind of there to see at the weekend. He's not particularly got a strength. You know, he's not particularly fast, strong, great defensively, fantastic in attack. He's like a 5 or 6 out of 10 out of everything. I think one thing that really does go in his favour, again, we spoke about this with Adamu, is his pedigree. You know, coming through the Benfica academy, playing Portuguese youth international football like he has, like he's got a good, like he reads games well in that sense. He's kind of knows the right thing to do at the right time. But we need somebody, like if we've got McGregor in the team, we need someone that can play off him a bit more, actually go forward a bit more and take some of the opposition with him and buy some more space. And he doesn't really do that. To the opposite effect, I felt Hatate had been sitting out the last couple of games looking at Negren, thinking, Jesus. And actually, see on that note, let's go and find that and put that up on screen for a second, right? Because Negren, as we know, is having a very good season. His debut season in the hoops. And if we just have a look at this so far in the league, 24, 12, and 3 in the cups, an R5 and 2 assists. And internationally, or in Europa League, certainly, another 8 games, 3 goals and 2 assists. He's absolutely cooking on all fronts. National team as well, not too bad in those stakes either. And I've not looked at this, so this is a wee bit of a live thing, right? But I guarantee you we've not seen a season like that from Hatate in terms of actual goal and assist contributions. And we're not even, or we're halfway through the season at this point, aren't we? But we're not even into the big end of February. So last year, look, in terms of goals, only one season, which was last year under Brendan Rodgers, they got to the 10-goal mark. And I think, like, I say if I was recording this, I would do all the maths and kind of summarize it for you all here. But Hitate's best season, 10 goals, 4 assists, 11 goals, 4 assists. Did he only play 2 Champions League games last year? That can't be right. Oh, no, that was this year. And then 10, 1 and 2. So he scored like 12. And then had 5, 10 assists. That's actually a pretty good season. 15 goals, 10 assists. And that was his best last year. But this season so far, Negren is way on his way to that. 12 and 3 plus 3 and 2. 15 and 5. Yeah. So he's well on his way to eclipsing that. So Hatate, I think, has been watching Negren, get these assists, take up these chances in and around the box, and he's shooting and getting goals. And he's probably sitting there thinking, everyone's loving on Ben Negren here, and they're forgetting about me, wee Rio Hatate. I'm going to start shooting. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start shooting a lot more, and I'm going to start actually attacking. And what we normally get from Hatate when he's like supporting the front line is he's really good at coming back into the defence, collecting the ball, playing in between the lines and progressing the ball up the pitch. And don't get me wrong, sometimes he did end up kind of deep because the game just forced him to get on the ball. But he was really trying to just stay as an attacking player, not quite the way that Negren does, but it felt like he was saying, I don't want to say screw you guys, like the team, but he was a little bit like, I'm going to leave you to do your job back there, and you're going to get me the ball, and then I want to show what I can do. I need to get my name back up in lights. And I felt that from Hatate. I did see a lot of like walking or standing about. I seen a lot of comments on the internet and group chats and whatever in the aftermath of it, and I get what everyone's driving at. But again, I think maybe because I watched it this morning, I really felt that this was him out to prove up. He was like, I'm just going to be attacking and you'll see what I can do. Because I'm not only doing what Negren does, attacking, but I'm tracking back and I'm doing all this other stuff. And I think Hatate is maybe not feeling sorry for himself, but he's maybe got that chip on his shoulder about the whole situation. Like Negren comes in and he's kind of like the new toy and he's the manager's favourite, whereas he's used to being, like Hatate's been the golden child under Angie. He couldn't do no wrong. And you did feel under Rodgers, after that initial bumpy start, Hatate got into that golden child category with him as well. So I did feel that it was a weird performance from Hatate, where not that he was out for himself, but I felt that he had a point he was trying to prove in this game with some of the shots he was taking and some of the play he was trying to knit. And with, I don't want to say how reluctant he was, but he wasn't as willing to drop in and play with Tierney and McGregor in these areas. So between Bernardo and Hatate, I think they both had a big point to prove in this one. Bernardo, that he's not a busted flush, he's a flat tire at this point. And Hatate, that he's not like chucked it, or he's not checked out, or he's not going to Palmeiras and all this other stuff that's been kind of rumoured and spoken about over the last week or two. So yeah, and I did feel like McGregor had the McGregor kind of game in this one. When he's got Bernardo next to him and Hatate playing this way, it kind of hamstrings, ties a hand behind McGregor's back is probably the better way of putting it, because he won't feel as confident to maybe, like we've seen for the goal the other day, where he's popping into the left wing and laying it back for Negren. He's not got the scope to be able to do that, because Bernardo's out to try and show that he's an attacking player. He can do the angle shift. And Hatate is like, if McGregor was to go forward, McGregor's maybe got less confidence. Hatate will cover him like he normally would. So the midfield all kind of bounced off each other in quite a negative way, which then move the ball out into the wing a lot more. Now, on the left-hand side, I don't think we've got any real worries or any real questions about the team right now. Yang has been one of the best players of the season, mainly on the right-hand side, granted. And Tierney, every week, every match, gets better and better in one way, shape, or form. And going down the left, we were actually quite happy to do that. And it was very good to see Big Tam in this one as well, because again, although we've spoke about he's not a target man stuff quite a number of times, again, you see in this game what you just get out of a bigger striker that's used to playing in this way, because he's played his whole life. The height he is, with the size of neck he's got, everything, and he's used to defenders being tight to him, making it hard. And some of the little half touches and flicks around the corner, little head-ons that he managed to do, he's had to do his whole career. And that's we're getting a benefit now out of something that we've not had in the team in so long. Because even Giakoumakis, like, again, you can go back and check the receipts I've got on the internet on this channel, but Giakoumakis was genuinely the worst passer I think we've ever had at Celtic over the last 5 years. Like, genuinely couldn't pass the ball. It was a nightmare. Yeah, so I really liked how that kind of played off with everything, but it was a lot more fluid down the left. Now, some of you guys will remember the match. I forget specifically what match it was, but I was at it, and we were at home. We started Palma and we started Yang, and the first half, the whole team was like, give the ball to Palma, and it did feel like it was kind of last chance saloon for Palma at that stage. And then in the second half, it was, we went a bit more to Yang. I felt like in this game, it was give the ball to Mvuka in big stages of the opening period of the match. And this guy, honestly, like, one of three things happened to him at the weekend. Number one, he maybe debuted a little bit too soon. Maybe he's just got a bit of ring rust and that kind of stuff, which I can accept. But equally, I can't completely accept, because he has been playing in France. Like we spoke about when we signed him, he's not as if he's been on the shelf gathering dust for the last season like Oxlade-Chamberlain has, or even Chvanchara's not played too much by comparison, certainly. So it's either he debuted too soon, number one. Number two, he sucks on the right-hand side. Like, honestly, like, he's clearly right-footed and he has a nice pass on him. But every time he got into this situation here, he turned into Louis Palma. And what did Louis Palma do in these types of situations? He never took his man on. He would just play around, and this pass here was his best friend. This pass here, or this pass here, was his best friend. Now, he had one or two balls where he did slip it in for a Araujo to overlap, or maybe even a Bernardo, somebody else maybe on the inside channel here, it broke through. He played like two balls ahead of himself and through the play, which was okay, but they weren't like, he had a big cross or two. He was really bad, guys. He was really bad. So that's either too early to debut, doesn't play at right wing, or he's terrible. It's one of those three things. I'm inclined to go with my gut instinct on this. I actually think I think he's bad. I think he's a bad player. Now, I hate to jump to conclusions and stuff like that, and I'm always open to changing my mind. But he had a solid 45 minutes here against Dundee, who, again, is an SPFL opposition. Are they the best in class in the division? No. Are they absolute cut adrifts? Terrible? No. Like, they actually beat us under Brendan Rodgers earlier this season. You might remember. And if he's not able to take any of these guys, and he didn't take anyone on, he had acres of space, he had time, and like, he kind of dribbles one of his first actions in the game, and he kind of gets he kind of gets wrong-footed, and the ball kind of squirts away from him behind him, and he tries to laugh it off. That thing there makes me think he prefers to be on the left somehow, because it's maybe just a positional thing. But a big part of me thinks, yeah, that's his level. Like, that's how good this guy is, sadly, that he can't dribble a Dundee left back. So who can he dribble? And we're back into that Louis Palma territory. And the thing that Palma had is a saving grace, that if you gave Palma time and space out here, he could cross and shoot. He could really cross and shoot. But when we are putting wingers on the ball 1v1 with somebody, and they are the attacking line, Araujo's behind them, maybe there's a midfielder in support, but there's a striker breaking into the box, and you're on the charge, you've got to do something. If you've not got half the bravery, gumption, will, determination, agency, whatever you want to think of it as, to take your man on and try something against Dundee, then who are you going to have it against? So I don't find this to be a very good start for Joe Mvuka. I'm quite worried that he might be unusable. And what I mean by that is, just look at Balikwisha, how you can't even use him in a game, sadly. So, yeah, I'm hoping it's a bad debut. I hope it's not the right-hand side thing because again, like Yang, we played on the left here, and Yang looked quite good on the left, but he's just found a groove on the right-hand side. And yeah, I really hope it was just a too early to debut situation for him. Nobody played great yesterday. I'm not really picking on him. It's just his debut, so I'm just chatting on him, Regina. That's all. Because I do think, like I mentioned earlier, like the right hand side had a lot of hard work on it. There was a lot of hard work to do on the right hand side because Bernardo on this inside channel wasn't a great option either. So Mvuka, if he didn't fancy his man, he only had to go inside, and it was like Chvanchara or Hitate. He didn't really have anyone offering him some support for a wee give and go. You know, none of that was really ever possible. And if it was possible, it was mainly to feed into Araujo, was maybe going on the inside of him or on the overlap. But this is the thing as well. Like, as the match went on, people gave him the ball less and less. As the game went on, McGregor stopped switching. You know, if we were on the left-hand side, McGregor's normally the first one to go out here and tell everyone to switch around. And see, by the time we got to the 25th or 30th minute, nobody was interested in going down the right-hand side for us. It was like one of those games we had Palma on, and everyone clicks onto the fact that if we give him the ball, we're not going anywhere. We might even lose possession, and then we've got to recover. And as the game went on, and again, like players tell you kind of everything you need to know. I think, you know, no one was looking for Bernardo. Bernardo wasn't get cut out necessarily, but no one went looking for him and went, here, you get on the ball and do something, get us up the pitch. He more just kind of come into play and get used if he was found. And again, I think there was an active choice as the first half wore on to not play this guy on, you know, not put him on the ball, sadly, for him. And Araujo had all the heavy lifting to do on this right-hand side, looked very, very good. And we're starting to see a lot more of the attacking Araujo that we've been asking for on the channel. And I think in this match, it felt like to me it was out of a bit of necessity because he could see Mvuka's not getting by his man. So if he gets up there, Araujo, you really need to shift and either shake this guy out, buy him some space to do something, or you get fed the ball yourself and then off you go. And it did just emphasise how good Araujo was. Hope it's just a settling in issue, not wanting to make mistakes in his first game. Yeah, I hope, I do hope it's that, Michael. And as I say, sorry if it feels like I'm going two-footed on the guy. I'm just saying what I've seen, you know, and that's what we kind of do here. What do you think of Adamu, Chvanchara on the wing? Both say they can do it. Now, Adamu, it was kind of hard to read him in that context because when he comes on, it's backs to the wall. We're 1-0 down. We get the equaliser. It's in extra time. So you don't really, you get him being a striker. You can see he's got a bit of pace and a bit of mobility, certainly. Chvanchara the same. And I do think we can have a bit of utility or versatility with them, maybe popping into these other sides because, like, Mvuka, like, let's just put him here for a second. I think we fancy Yang to be first choice right winger. But see the way that Tuneki plays at the weekend and the way Tuneki's been evolving, it's going to be kind of hard to get Dyson back into this team, you know? It's going to be quite hard, and that's a good thing, you know, because he has been burned out. He isn't perfect either, and yeah, the more choices we've got, the better. So yeah, I was saddened by Mvuka's debut here. He only got 45 minutes, and read into that what you will. 4-4-2, Adama and Big Tam up front. Rebel XX. We actually spoke about that the other day in terms of played very safe. Says JJ Lisbon on Mvuka. Yeah, I think that's been kind, because not one time did he show something? You know, like all the opportunities he had on the ball. I'm going to say he got put on the ball about 7 or 8 times. Once, you know what I mean? And maybe he did try once and he get caught under himself a bit. But yeah, I was rather disappointed. I thought I'd seen a bit more pace from him and a bit more like the same way that we've seen from Chvanchara, even Adamu and Araujo, where they're coming from that higher level. They should be coming into this with a bit of swagger. And Mvuka didn't have any swagger. So would Mvuka be released if you were Gaffer Quinny? I think after here, training tells you way more than matches in terms of potential and if somebody's worth persevering with, how they fit in the system. But from what I've seen there and what I've seen previously, like it's going to be a hard one. Maybe it can be more effective off the bench, and maybe some of the games we've got he can show something. But he's behind the 8 ball now, I think, sadly. He's not had a good debut and he's got it all to prove in the next one. Celtic Faith, was it clickbait I seen earlier from an our Celtic channel saying Andy Robertson due to be coming to Celtic? I haven't seen that report. I know Robbo wants to come to Celtic by all accounts. He's been quite open with that. I have also been very open in wanting Andy Robertson to come to Celtic, and I would not be against it in any way, shape or form. And yeah, like I've not seen it. But then we get to the second half, we get to half time, and we make a double sub. Now, the double sub surprises me because I did not expect Bernardo to get hooked, to be quite honest with you. And Mvuka, yeah, okay, maybe I seen that coming a little bit. But for Negren to come on, and then who else came on at half time? Was it Taneki at half time? No. Forrest, of course. Forrest. Jimmy. How could I forget Jimmy? So Jimmy comes on for an actual right. And again, whenever you see Forrest has came on for somebody, you know that we need a winger and we're not getting a winger from whoever's played there, whether it be Balquishas and the Grens and whoever. So, yeah, I don't think it's a good omen for this lad, sadly. Forrest was really bad. I kind of thought Forrest wasn't really up to it. Again, like, he did all right. But yeah, I don't think he was. When you see him come on at half time, the main worry with Forrest is like, how many minutes can he be at max revs for? I thought he did well considering that. But yeah, he didn't really give us much. He gave us more than Mvuka did. He actually was happy to try and go by people and work in tight spaces on the touchline. Yeah, JJ, I'm expecting better from Bernardo there as well. But when the Gren comes in for Bernardo as well, I thought, wow, that's interesting because again, we've not seen Hatate, Negren, and McCowan very often since Rogers left the building. And for Bernardo off and Negren on, again, it kind of goes back to what I said before, where Bernardo and McGregor were just getting on each other's toes quite often. At half time, we're at 0-0, and Martin's thinking, right, listen, we don't need two sitters, we need actually two attackers, we need more support up here. For Forrest, who's now coming on, as well as Yang and Big Tam, because they're just not linking up. We're not creating enough chances. And yeah, I found that quite surprising, to be honest with you. And Mvuka wasn't a huge surprise because it is like just a new signing, maybe been a bit of a fitness test kind of angle. Fine. But Bernardo for Negren I found quite interesting because, again, surely Negren's one of those players you want to try and rest up in this game when you're rotating everyone. So for him to come on at half time, he's not afforded the luxury of rest, which I don't think he really minds too much. Negren's quite a happy player at Celtic right now in terms of in rhythm and scoring goals and stuff. And these guys just want to keep playing. We've all heard that 1,000 times, don't we? But quite an attacking change, it must be said. And could have brought McCowan on at that stage quite easily and just kept it status quo. But a nice kind of change up of the gears that, you know, Dundee weren't threatening us too much. We could go more intensive in terms of the attacking options we had, and we weren't really getting that from Bernardo. So surprising changes at halftime. And it must be said, by the way, the goal that Ethan Hamilton scores is a screamer. GG's and fair play to him. And, you know, I'm sure he'll be celebrating that one for a while. Maybe he'd just been celebrating it longer if it actually amounted to something. Calling it now on Mvuka, average and no improvement. Yeah, that's the thing with the disappointing part of it, is it's hard to see how he makes us better, and it's hard to see how he fixes a problem for us on this debut, and that's the risk of the bargain bucket, you know, as maybe the guy is quick, maybe he is fast, maybe he is strong, but if he's scared to play against Cottrell and Congreve, then we're screwed, you know. Quinny, what's your thoughts on the style of play? I thought it looked toothless and ponderous. Wasn't really obvious to me what we were hoping would happen. I think so that main change at half time, I think, is to address that because we did lack, without having Engels in the team and even without, I would say, like actual wingers on both sides. Because again, having Mvuka, it's kind of like a deja vu moment where we're playing the Gren right wing, or we're playing a Palma, or we're trying to squeeze Balakwisha off the bench into one of these positions, and it doesn't really work. And for us, like under Martin O'Neill, the wingers like Yang and Tuneki, especially Maeda and Flashes, the first time O'Neill came in, it's been a big part of it because good wingers at Celtic buy space for these players in midfield to get into the box and try and cause some problems. And it felt like in the first half, we didn't have a right-hand side and we didn't really have much cut from midfield. We had Hatate patrolling in and around the front line. And otherwise, yeah, if it wasn't going through Tierney and Yang, it was kind of going nowhere. And I think in the second half, we tried to get back on the horse in that sense, try and get Araujo forward a lot more as well. With Forrest, again, Forrest and Araujo play well together. You know, they work well together. And I think you've seen that. And it was all about then getting into the wide areas and trying to find crosses and such, which we had some success with, of course. Chvanchara does a good job of occupying defences, but we just never really had anyone until Negren came on anyway to try and play in that pocket behind the striker, because as he goes in and takes markers with him and they're occupying him, you've seen this quite a lot where it would almost be this triangle. You'd have the defensive midfielder, maybe not marking Big Tam, but not too far off the equation. And again, when we're playing out wide and we're getting a magnet of our forward up here, we need someone that can ghost into these positions, be on the end of a flick on, creep in at the back post to finish it, like Mvuka did actually very early in the game. And yeah, you know, whatever happened there happened there. It's just one of those ones, isn't it? Maybe ahead of the ball, didn't read the flight of it wrong, right? That kind of thing. Need Araujo crossing from deep, says Mick Nolan. Yeah, I liked Araujo's. The thing about Araujo is he plays early. Araujo's dead easy, dead happy to release the ball up here and try and play it into the likes of Negren, particularly the strikers like Big Tam in this instance. And yeah, Araujo's definitely coming on leaps and bounds, game on game, week on week. What the F are the scouts doing when they continually bring in right wingers who clearly aren't wingers, says M. Young. Yeah, I kind of feel that pain as well. The service for the strikers is absolutely woeful, says Evan Sean Osborne. And I would agree at the weekend it was very, very one-dimensional. Yang has been getting a lot of plaudits recently, but I think on the left, you kind of got a little bit of old Yang, where he's very vibrant. You know, he's still happy to go at people and he'll still make stuff happen, but he wasn't particularly effective. You know, that last cross shot didn't really happen too much. Actually, on the whole Mvuka thing, there was actually a really telling moment. I forget what minute it was, maybe around the 39th, 30th, something like that. But Yang actually comes over to the right wing, and Araujo and Yang play football and just ignore Mvuka, like, completely, you know. And again, if you watch the first half back, you'll see it. Maybe I say it kind of tells its own story in that regard. But yeah, service was a bit one-dimensional. And the thing with this game, and I tried to keep it at the front of my mind and hopefully all of our minds at the beginning of this video, is it's Dundee. Dundee are a solid team. You know, they're not, you know, under Tony Docherty, I thought they were very capable opposition. They've lost McKeown, Lyle, whatever his name is, the guy at Aberdeen now, and Josh Mulligan. You know, they've lost some real talent over the last couple of seasons. And, you know, but this team is like hardy. You know, they're well organized and all the rest of it. And this is the test of Chvanchara, of the emergence of Yang, of all these other new signings. Also, we get a Junior Adamu appearance off the bench not too long afterward. This as well. But this is a good barometer, a good yardstick on if you can cut it this season. Can you do it for us? It's looking like a blessing we didn't spend 3 million on Mvuka. I would echo that, Jack the Tim. We have been consistently second best in midfield against teams. Can we win the league with our midfield, says Connor Sullivan. It's a great point you make there. I don't know if I would agree with consistently second best. Yeah, well, maybe we have been, actually. Maybe I'm just being a wee bit rose-tinted glasses, but the midfield has been a problem for ages. Like, I love McGregor as much as the next guy, but him wanting to, again, like, think about the way we started this game, and I know that my order of this is a little bit over the place, so apologies. But see, before we started the game, see if McGregor can say to Bernardo, right, you're carrying my water today because you want to live that job, you can do it. I'm off the leash today. I'm the captain, I'm the boss, I'm running the show. And we need an arm midfielder up here in support. I'm reading the game and seeing you're doing nothing, so I'm going to go and do it. It doesn't need to be in a cheeky or an aggressive way or anything like that, you know. But I do think that because McGregor is married to this position here, there's just so many domino effects that come from that I'll be speaking about on the channel all the time. But this zone here is where we get punished time and time again. In between centre backs in midfield, this is the area where teams hurt us, you know, where they peel off the defence, where they break away from us. And you know, it's not all to be left at McGregor's door, but you know, if we want to win midfield battles, we need a different configuration in the midfield. I think we can probably all see that and agree with that. I've just got a feeling this group of players is way off what is required. Yeah, I think that's the kind of residing fear that a lot of us have, that some of them will wilt under the pressure. I think I'm quite confident that a lot of them won't. It's some of the new ones you're maybe unsure of, you don't know as much about, that you're worried about that being the case. But yeah, I think Negren had a lot of freedom when he came into the second half. You see him kind of popping up in all areas of the pitch here, trying to link the play and trying to continue his rhythm as being the main man. They get their wonder goal, of course, and then not too long after, actually, but about 10, 20 minutes later, we then go for another double substitution, and we take off Youngster for Taneke, and we take off Hatate for McKeown. which, you know, again, I don't think was too much of a surprise to see McKeown coming into the team here. And McKeown's good in domestic matches. I think he had a good appearance when he came on to this one and gave us a bit more. Because Hatate, like I say, it felt like he had a point to prove. He had a chip on his shoulder here. McKeown probably still has a bit of that as well, but he's playing against his old pals and he knows how they run and how they, or some of them anyway. And he comes into this with hopefully like leveling up. And the left-hand side changed a lot. You know, when Taneki and McKeown, Taneki's going to get all the limelight here, of course, right? But McKeown and Taneki, when they both come on, the left-hand side becomes a real option for us, becomes a real route to goal. And, you know, we get a lot of joy out of that. The big Tam comes off basically on the 80th minute. And we get a debut for Junior Adamu, who should be on this system somewhere now. Number 9, isn't he? There he's there. Which was a well-anticipated debut. I was waiting to see the big man come on himself. And right before the goal on the 91st minute, we lose Kieran Tierney, who's apparently got a fractured bone in his face. So he won't be playing midweek. Who knows when he'll be back, to be honest with you. Let's hope it's not too serious. But we get Sriracha coming on to finish the game. And don't get me wrong, the right-hand side got better with Forrest on it, mainly because him and Araujo kind of play with each other, and it was a kind of pendulum and swing effort with Forrest and Araujo. But the left-hand side, particularly when Sriracha came on, fresh legs, a bit of a point to prove. We were losing when he came on. Well, we obviously get the equaliser and go to extra time, and then he's trying to help us win the game. But this left-hand side was completely transformed with these 3 players on it. And that's no shade to Yang or Tierney, for that matter, but it was just a bit of fresh legs, a bit of fresh impetus, and enough guys here with something to show, something to prove, you know. And eventually we get the Taneki run at it for the Adamu goal, which was beautiful. And then we go into extra time and it's just chapping at the door. Dundee drop deeper and deeper before eventually in the 92nd minute, McKeown lays it in for Taneki. And again, it's a great finish worthy of winning any game. And in terms of main moments in the match, that's kind of everything. Am I right in saying that was his first touch? I think it was his first touch. I think he was involved in a couple of duels, a few 50-50s. I don't know if it was strictly like the first time he touched the ball, but I think it was the first like clean touch he had. Thanks very much, Stephen. I hope you're enjoying your dinner tonight, whatever you're making. Hearts' top three have been the top 3, minus Mawanisi perhaps. It's broken up now, and Hibs will be a big test for them, as well as test the Rangers. Yeah, I'm with you there, Rob Lilly. Good evening, Jesus, Mary and Jota. Good to see you. And yeah, so I found this. I'm sure Martin O'Neill takes a lot of food for thought out of this game. I don't think we really learned much or anything about the key players. Actually, just to say on Sinisalo, I don't think he played bad, but again, watching that game, if Sinisalo was your number 1, I don't know, you just don't quite have the same confidence that you do with some of the other goalkeepers we've had in the past. So I'm a wee bit jury's out on Sinisalo, how well he did. And it was a wonder goal. You can't really argue that in terms of the goal from Hamilton here. Could he have maybe done a bit better? Could we maybe defended a bit better? Of course. But goals are scored in football, and good goals, goalkeepers can't save them all, can they? But I don't know. There was just something about him. It now makes me feel he's a wee bit unconvincing. I don't know what it is. So again, let me know your thoughts and feelings on that. Yang, Big Tam, and Maeda would be my starting front 3. It says Rio 67. Sinisalo already played in a draw at Ibrox, in which we should have won if Maeda had the quality of a professional. Yeah, and he played well last season. I like the guy, but would you hang your hat on him to be number 1? Jamara Mama? The young lad Mvuka was trying too hard to impress in his debut. He looks keen, and I think we shouldn't judge him too early. I remember the Kings debut. And of course, Larsson debuts always come into conversations like this as well, of course, but that's a big stretch, I think. You know, by the time we signed Larsson, he'd already played for Feyenoord, finished 3rd in the World Cup, etc., etc. Wasn't by any means a rookie or a novice. So I get where you're coming from. Don't read too much into debuts every time, but I can't shake how he didn't do one thing that took someone out at this point. You know, he should know he's at Celtic. I've got a point to prove. Got something to show the manager, the fans, everything. And maybe he was too safe. Maybe I don't know. Mon changed the 2 up front over this spell for my 90s in a few days. I don't know what that means, Rob Lilly. In terms of going 2 up top, we spoke about that the other day as well. I could definitely see it because we kind of do play 2 up top when we're off the ball. Hatate, in this case, started the game, but sometimes Negren. They just basically become a second forward and we end up defending in 2 banks of 4 off the... not by him, sorry, by Kevin in this case. So I could see it. I could definitely see him starting like Big Tam and Adamu, maybe against Stuttgart, away from home. Could see something like that. Again, the only thing that makes me think that might not happen is you probably want Dyson involved in that mega press. I think it's time at Celtic. This is Sinisalo is probably over, very Scott Bain-esque. Yeah, maybe. Sinisalo poor with the ball at his feet, quite dithersome. Yeah, he played a few passes like he's very happy to invite pressure, isn't he? But he played a few safe balls that were quite hairy, you know what I mean, that could have not been safe. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think we can go into next season currently with him as number 1 and being totally chuffed with that and having like Duhan as the backup or whatever the script is. Live Ox interview. If he plays as well as he speaks, we're on to a winner, says JJ in Lisbon. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Oxlade-Chamberlain in general. I think it'll be a good signing for us. I like the fact he's kind of really bought into it. And it's been good for him to see even the support that a boycotted stadium provides. Yeah, Rebel, I think you've put it quite well there. Sinisalo doesn't inspire confidence, looks lightweight. Why was he an actual not in the squad? I have not heard anything official, but I'm inclined to think it was a weekend off effort. It was a bit of load management because they've probably kind of half rushed him back. Then the signings have came in. We can probably now just chill a bit with that. But yeah, fair play to Dundee. They kind of gave as good as they got for the most part. The refereeing was kind of terrible again, wasn't it? We kind of got refused a penalty for Kvankara. I just want to say on that, but I don't want that to be a penalty. Like, I really don't. Like, that for me is very much against the spirit of, like, if you're... Where the hell's the wee eye thing? If you're facing this way and going that way and you get fouled on the last, like, inch of the box, like... It's not a penalty for me. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, they go against us, you'll take them when they come. But at least with a penalty, like, it should be like it's a shot attempt, or the whole emphasis of it, or the whole reason for it is like you're doing something bad, you're making a foul in a key area of the pitch when someone should be trying to score. And if you're like here going out the way like this, yeah, it happened in the box. It should have been a penalty. I don't really want things like that to be a penalty, really. Like, it's not really a penalty. Dundee haven't done something so terrible there where we should get a penalty. Do you remember there's a funny story? I think it's Stuart Pearce. Yeah, I'm sure it's Stuart Pearce. It's like his last, I think it was his last game before he retired. And it was for Man City. And they had a player, I was going to say Bernabe, but it's Benarabe or something like that. I can't say. He was an Algerian guy, big techers. And anyway, I can't remember the full story, but the way the story goes is that Benabria gets into the box and he flicks the ball up so that somebody handballs it. Like, he actually just flicks it onto someone's hand, and then Stuart Pearce gets to score a penalty on his last game. And like that would boil my blood if that happened against us. You know what I mean? And also way worse does happen to us. But again, like, I think like the spirit of what the penalty should be isn't really here. And yeah, we should have got it. Yeah, we were cheated out of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not a penalty, but I don't really want stuff like that to be a penalty. It's more about how inconsistent and unfair the rules are rather than what they are. Yeah, and yeah, like the rules and the refs are all the problem. But again, I just want to say, like, I'm not going to be sitting here screaming for this because I just don't really like it as a penalty. It's just a bit of it's one of those technicalities. And it's one of these things where, like, I play a lot of computer games, not really so much anymore. Yeah. Listen, I'm happy to be shot down on this. I'm just expressing a view. That's all. What was I going to say there, Sugar? Sorry. No, it's more like just it's just for how, like I say, like, they go against us, I'll take them and all that. But I just for football, that's the main problem we all have with refs and VAR is it's nonsense. Like fouls should be fouls. You know what I mean? Like anything that's getting called off by VAR should be like clear and obvious errors and things that have crossed the line or not. It's about attacking football. It's not about that's what I was going to say, computer games and stuff, right? Because I remember like I genuinely think like the modern era has been polluted, let's say, by football games, FIFA, EA, whatever you want to call it. It's probably my example for these types of things where I remember like I think it's really the invention of a lot of these stupid offsides that we get because I remember being a young guy, PlayStation 1 and 2, and like how like VAR-esque offsides would be, because it was a computer game, it would know precisely where every player is on the pitch when it happens and all the rest of it. And you would also get stuff like if it deflected off of a player into the path of somebody else, you would then not get it as an offside and stuff like that, or these types of things. And I think too much of that, like computer game refereeing, is come into real refereeing now, where yeah, I'm not really doing a good job of what I'm trying to say. I think maybe I've done okay. I don't know, but it doesn't feel like I've done a good job. But I'm trying my best. But yeah, that was just my kind of sentiment with this. It's just like it's computer game refereeing, where like yeah, okay, like it's a foul kind of anywhere on the pitch. Yeah, it's in the box, but it's not really a penalty, is it? It's barely a free kick. But um, but yeah, we know who gets those types of penalties. And yeah, handballs kind of go into this as well. Again, like handball's meant to be like the sentiment of it, and ball to hand, and did you mean it or not? And it's been so polluted over the years now. The rules have just been lost in the wash. Yeah, I know, guys. I know I might be a wee bit on an island with this, but I'm just not going to be kicking up a mess about this because there's bigger fish to fry when it comes to bad refereeing. Number one, they really should have caught it. Of course, it's a clear and obvious error, but yeah, I just don't. Yeah, it's not one I feel it's a crime against football for us not to get it. Like the trusty red card. Even if you look at the Soboslai red card from the weekend, that's a goal scoring opportunity denial right there. If ever I've seen one, needs to be a full reset of football rules in general. I kind of agree with that, Stephen. And see, on that note, Scotland could do that. I spoke about this somewhere not too long ago. I won't keep this on too long, so we're kind of going on a tangent now. But um, it's up to Scotland how we use VAR within like guidelines and stuff like that, and goal line technology and everything. And see, Scottish football, whoever runs it would be very clever, would be very smart, and I think would get a big edge on the marketplace, to use a kind of business term, by leaning into Scotland being throwback football, old school football. Like maybe reset a little bit of this stuff, clarify the hand rule, the handball rule to something that we all see has been common sense and all that kind of thing. And then yeah, market it, advertise it, live that life of throwback football still, where it's real challenges and real bad refs, and let's get on with it. The pen, yeah, and again, the pen against Utrecht, by the way, I was like, okay, like that is the worst penalty I think we've ever been awarded in terms of that kind of stuff goes against us in Europe normally, and we are spitting feathers about it. But again, when they go for you, you're going to take them all day, aren't you? Yeah, yeah, and there's tons of it. Handball needs to be yeah, the 2 millimeters offside kisses you off, Rebel. Yeah, I'm kind of again. I think that's the computer gamification of stuff because no one demanded that level of offside scrutiny. Technology brings that too, of course, but I think it's like the computer game generation, really, where, again, if you play a computer game, there's just no ambiguity. The game knows where everyone's standing and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's really informed a lot of people through the generation or two that we went through. Uh, yeah, the VAR, we have VAR, so our refs can referee in the Champions League, etc. We have VAR for them, not for the clubs. Ah, interesting. Kill Jester, that's a great detail. I didn't realize that that was a part of the makeup of this whole situation. Of course, that makes a lot of sense. And like I've said many times on the channel, I was really big for VAR to come to Scotland because I thought it would probably iron out a lot of the injustice that happens, and it's maybe ironed out a bit of it, but it just makes the injustice even more infuriating because there's just no excuse for it now. It's blatant. Tell us where Ox will play, Quinny, says JJ Lisbon. Now, that's a great question, right? Because Oxlade-Chamberlain, oh, sugar. Everything's going all over the place here. Where's my back button? Oh, there's the back. I lost it, but I found it back. Where does the Ox play? Now, I think similar, Balikwisha played Talbot and not been seen since. I kind of think that was Bernardo's Talbot game. I'll be very surprised if he plays another minute this season, if I'm honest. I think Yang and Tuneki have to be the starting wingers for us. I'm just going to move some of this around a little bit. We're going to imagine Tierney's injured for a minute. And I mean a minute in terms of time scale, like he's out for a few weeks or something. And I think it's really this role here. Engels' position. Do we have him on the building yet? I'll just put him here, AOC. Oh, no, he's here. Oxlade-Chamberlain. There we go. I think it's this position in here with McGregor where we're going to see him the most. Because I think Engels still needs a bit of minute management. But I could also see it instead of Negren. Because I do think Hatate is somewhat falling down the pecking order. I could see this type of thing happening. Again, the one thing I really remember with Oxlade-Chamberlain is he shoots and crosses, left foot, right foot. He's got big energy, big engine. And again, we spoke about this the other day, so I don't want to labour it too much. I only need one big performance out of him where he turns a match, he changes the course of history, he wins his points. Any more than that, then I think it's a very good deal. But I need one good game out of him, not high expectations for somebody his ability. And I wholeheartedly hope that he does exceed them. We drop our top scorer or our £25 million man. Yeah, it's a funny one in that regard, isn't it? It would be interesting if he actually became a McGregor rotation option, wouldn't it? But I actually think McGregor's going to want to. I think McGregor calls a lot of shots, to be honest with you. I think McGregor says, I'm playing every game. I want all the appearances. I want all the minutes. And I think he'll want to play with Ox, to be honest with you. I think Engels will want to play with Ox. I think they'll all want to play. Obviously, they'll all be training with him and stuff, but I think he's going to be primarily used from the bench. How many games has he got the potential to play in? Like 19? Oh, no, he's not registered for Europe. So how many games do we have left in the league? What was that? The last 8? So we're through to the... What stage is it now? Semis or final? Quarterfinals we're into now. Awesome. So we're into the quarterfinals. So quarters, semis, and final. We could play 3 Scottish Cup games. No League Cup anymore, obviously. And if we look at the league, 14. So there's 17 games that he could play. I think he's going to start 3 of them. Something like that. He's probably going to feature quite heavily. And I think you could expect him to maybe start in and around some of those European games where we've got lots of away fixtures. He's more of a winger. Well, a lot of the stuff that Martin O'Neill's been watching when he was playing in Turkey, he was a deeper midfielder. He was in this kind of deeper position. And I think that's where he's going to play for us for the most part. But it's the big games off the bench against Rangers. Maybe he starts a Rangers game off the bench against Hearts. I don't know if he could start a game like that for where... I don't know, maybe he could. Hearts won't be until the split now, sorry. There's another big game we kind of play soon enough. Domestically, I forget who it is now off the top of my head, but I could see him starting some of those games, but I think he'll be predominantly in the midfield. Because Mvuka has been so bad on debut, I wouldn't be surprised if he played on the wing. Like, I really wouldn't. It can't be any, and I don't want to say this in a disrespectful way, but it can't be any worse than James Forrest as a winger in terms of age and, fatigue in the legs and that sort of thing. Yeah, he hasn't played as a winger for a while. I would be surprised by it as well. But if we want Tuneki to play left, we want Dyson in the team, we want Yang. I don't know, maybe we've not actually got a backup right winger if this Mvuka's not going to play ball. So again, I could see it off the bench for Yang. I wouldn't rule it out. But I think it'll be predominantly alongside McGregor. Maybe Engels plays in Europe and then Oxlade-Chamberlain plays domestically. I could see that type of thing. Where the hell's McGregor went? I could see that working. I'm not really too sure as many other spots in the team you could see him in other than attacking midfield. I would quite like to see him in attacking midfield with Engels and McGregor kind of doing the heavy lifting for him, and then giving him the freedom to double up on a wing with Yang, or move on to this side and play with Tunecki and Tierney, or Sriracha in this case, or follow up with the forward. But this job, if you look at the kilometres that Negren and Hatate cover, is a lot. This would be really Aaron Moy, Tom Rogic. I think you can't ask this guy to put in the same shift that any one of them has really been putting in. And some of you might be going, Negren, put a shift in. Negren doesn't stop moving. I know he's not lightning. I know he doesn't eat up the ground, but he doesn't stop moving. And that could be a big ask for Oxlade-Chamberlain. You're only going to know that if you're training with him at this moment. But I think you're probably going to see him rotate between, when we play Stuttgart, he's not going to be even in the squad for that, is he? At 32, he isn't ancient, just his injury history. I'm with you, Stephen B. But again, people have been talking about Callum McGregor like he has been 35 for the last 3 years, but he today is 32. So it's weird in Scotland how we age people, especially in football. Could finally be our O'Reilly replacement. Yeah, I could very easily see him giving us a lot of what O'Reilly gave us in this midfield spot here, where it's not just about supporting those wingers, but he can come on the inside and shoot. He can go on the outside and cross. Again, cross and shoot, left foot, right foot. He gives us a lot that we've not had in the engine room in a while. So I can see it. Moy was 32, I think so too, yeah. Maybe 33, but thereabouts also. He had a bad back, if you remember. That's why he retired at the end of it. Just depth getting in the way of that. Look, what was that comment? I think our front three can be Maeda. I think it could be Maeda, Chvanchara and Adamu. I think that could be a front three that we play. Who are you maybe moving Adama to the right then? Oh, I've still got this thing highlighted, sorry. And where is Dyson Sama? You're probably going to want him on the left in ideal situation. You could do it. I really wouldn't rule it out. And you could even have these guys interchanging, being really hard to mark and dropping into pockets, playing with each other. You could get some really good stuff coming, even with the likes of Dyson. You could have a lot of nice interplay. I'd like to see this. I'd like to see how it works, for sure. I don't think we will, but to be honest with you, I don't think Martin Neal's here to play games or mess about too much. And I genuinely think it's going to be very hard for Dyson to get back into the team. I think he'll play quite easily against Stuttgart. It's shop window material, big game, big player, all that kind of thing. But domestically, I think Dyson will play Stuttgart and get rotated around. And then, if he doesn't play well in the Stuttgart, he could easily just find himself out of the team. Because Tunecki's coming into a game. Yang's undeniable at this point. And then when you do have versatile forwards like Chvanchara, Big Tam, Adamu, and even Ox, as we mentioned, Dyson might be right down the pecking order quite quickly, Not replacing O'Reilly was the problem. Yeah, big time. We don't replace anyone. Is Adama a winger? No, he's kind of like he can play wing the same way Dyson plays wing. He's like a wide forward. I think McKeown has been generally bad. I want him to be good, and he obviously is motivated, but I've never seen him have a great game. Really? Normally, I think that's fair enough. I've seen a few performances from McKeown where I've been like, he's earned his crust. He's a 4-2-4 on Wednesday. Oh, imagine a bit of that, eh? Imagine a bit of the 4-2-4s. Could see it. Oh, I can see it. Tunecki might be most effective coming off the bench. I think that kind of helped him against Dundee because he was really fresh, and mainly because Yang did well, but Yang again, it's kind of the boxer thing, where Yang's kind of softened him up all game, and then Tunecki's came on with a fire in his belly, a point to prove, and they've been a bit ragged and taken from left to right, and it's maybe benefited them. I would agree with that there, but you can definitely tell he's taking things from the training pitch onto the pitch, training ground onto the pitch, probably the better way of saying that. And that's a very good sign for me. Yang feels way more effective on the right. I'm with you, Killchester. I think over the last couple of weeks, he's really found himself in there. I think cutting back from the right-hand side for a right footer like Yang is just way easier and creeping in at the back post. Whereas on the left, because we've got Tierney out here, it's a different shift, especially with a right-footed player. It's a really different thing we're asking him to do. And I think, yeah, you kind of need him on the right. Stretch Livy's 15-man defence. Now, we'll get on to Livy later on, right? Probably cover that tomorrow. But one thing I'll say to you all the now, because I know some of you like a wee punt or a wee flutter, right? Marvin Bartley, I know some of you don't really like Clyde One, right? But Marvin Bartley, it's kind of well known on Clyde One for some Yang slander. Yang to score against Marvin Bartley, who is now the manager of Livingston. Some of you have mentioned Martindale. Martindale is now director of football or something like that for them. So Yang to score against Marvin Bartley is almost a guarantee. Yang's game lost a lot playing out on the left. Big Rab, I would echo that too. Maeda's defensive quality hasn't been enough to compensate for massive on-ball deficiencies lately. Better when we might be under the cosh, like Stuttgart, as you said, where the value is better. Paulie, I would echo everything you said there. I think Maeda's been diminishing returns. I think he really needed that break. Aberdeen getting called off, not playing at the weekend, because he's been so overplayed, I think. That I agree with you, but I think there's a cause for it. It might be his head's turned. It might be he's lost the rag with the club and stuff like that. Fine, maybe, but I think it's mainly that he's just been burned. You know, even Livy have a director of football and we don't. You can say that again, David Martindale. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I've got from the weekend to chat about. Great to see Sriracha back, and you know, we've been linked to Javer Schlager. Some of you might have seen that, right? The Leipzig midfielder I've been quite quick to put on record as saying has no ligaments. Now, I'll kind of say this again. Schlager would be a great O'Reilly replacement, profile, ability, experience-wise, right? He does have no ligaments. I stand by that. He's playing a lot now, and maybe he's overcame some of his injury histories, right? But the only thing I'll say on Schlager until we do transfer content again is if we do sign him, we will need to sign a Sriracha. Schlager, like, it's like signing Tierney. You'll need to get a backup for him. I take Sriracha on a perm. So would I. I think Sriracha would be up for it too. I think the age he's at, he kind of knows like he's at peak, you know, and it's only down from here, really. You know, he's played before he went back to Boca, back to Argentina. Sorry, I should say when he went to Boca, he was playing La Liga 2, you know, Segunda, and going nowhere. So I think he knows, like, he's kind of hit the peaks of his career. He's not really going to get any higher than a team like Boca off the bench or Celtic off the bench, and he probably fancies his chances playing. Maybe he wants to play in Europe as well. Maybe Champions League, something he wants to do. So I would take him. I would take Sriracha, no problem at all. Does that kind of shut the door on Robbo a little bit though, because of wage and squad position and stuff like that? I would maybe think someone watch out for that. If we sign him, we can all call him Top Schlager. He'll definitely be Top Schlager in the midfield, of course. Yeah. Araujo, I would take on on a transfer permanently. And I've not looked up the quote yet, but someone said to me in an interview that he kind of hinted to he would be kind of half up for it. I think Araujo's good to have on the hook in case we sell AJ in the summer. But if we're not selling AJ in the summer, it's just not going to happen, really, is it? Just wonder where Engels' head is at right now. I think Engels' head is screwed on. I think he's fine. Quinny, you think Casper, Trusty, Scales are good enough to get us over the line? Off topic, I know. Not really. If we're kind of chatting about this, I think so. I like individually, I like them all. I think as a unit, they've came together quite nicely. The talk of Robertson is on a pre-contract. That ends Sriracha's spell. Yeah, I think you're taking Robertson over Sriracha every day, aren't you? You know, personally, he's a Champions League winner. Everything we've said about Oxlade-Chamberlain, and he's a Celtic fan. I wanted Robertson to come back when we got Tierney, because I think Robertson is older, so I kind of think by bringing Tierney back, it maybe hurt our chances of getting Robbo. But I'm still holding my breath on that one. I would love to see Robertson in the hoops. 10 million euros, what's that for? I'm not too sure. But no, I think we are good enough to get over the line now. And the thing as well is I don't even think the signings have made a difference, okay, but sadly, it's been bare minimum where it feels like we're just getting depth. You know, we're getting some options. I like Adamu. I like Big Tam. I like what we did with the striker options. But otherwise, I think we've maybe just about done enough where we can increase confidence. We can have some rotation options. We can keep people fresh and optimized. And I think now, like, we can't really afford to lose any games. I think we're good enough to be in that mind frame. And I'm confident we can do as much of that as is practical and possible to get the job done. Not saying we will be perfect, but like I've mentioned before, Hearts and Rangers will drop points further. And, you know, it's that middle ground of us not dropping too many. If Robertson's offered an extra year at Liverpool, he'll take it. I could see that, Youngie. I can see that. He does love being a Liverpool legend. He knows he's like on history there with them. But the way he's been handled this season, I don't know if he will, by the way, because he's been completely like marginalised. That Kerkez has been crap for a lot of the season. I think he's coming good a bit now, but yeah, I don't know. I'd love us to win every game, but that last game gives us little confidence. Plus that 4 away streak, says Stephen B. Yeah, the away run is terrible. And yeah, like yous are saying, like, right off Stuttgart and stuff like that, we're just not going to do that because it's Martin O'Neill and it's Celtic. When we get to the game, no one's going to take it lightly. Everyone's going to want to play in it. The Scottish Cup, if we didn't have Rangers, it's probably the one I'd be like, right, just rotate every day again. But Araujo is a defo. I heard Bournemouth are looking for 7 million for him to be sold. I would take that. Robbo too old. Yeah, he is older, isn't he? If Nicholson fell into a barrel of tits, he'd come out sucking his thumb. These next 2 games are massive for the title race. Both Rangers and Hearts play each other and have very difficult midweeks. Regina, I get where you're coming from, right? But it's not because he's a Celtic. It's because he's I say legend. I don't know. But yeah, he's won 2 Premier Leagues with Liverpool. He's played in 2 Champions League finals. For me, he's been the best left back in Europe for the last like 5 or 6 years. Outside of Marcelo. Marcelo is the only like better left. Since Andy Robertson's came to prominence, yeah, I think I'd stand by that against anyone. Andy Robertson's the best left back in Europe. Outside of Marcelo in the last 10 years. It's probably the best way of summing that up. I do like Theo Hernandez, but he's probably not quite the same guy. Exactly. I think he's getting another couple of years in him as well. And it's, again, it's the benefit we're talking about with Ox, and we've seen before with the likes of Colo Tourés and one of these two. You want, and Paul Lambert, you want Champions League winners, you want Premier League winners in the building. It helps entice younger players, it helps develop younger players, and, you know, it just helps the team. You know, it just does. Experience, you can't buy experience. You know, it's a bit of a cliche, I know, but, and that's where the whole you can't win things with kids thing comes from, because you generally do need an older head somewhere in the building. Now, of course, you can win stuff with kids, but we all know that's been proven already. But the sentiment of you need a bit of know-how, you need a bit of grit, you need a bit of experience is never going to be lost in team anything, never mind team sports. Wouldn't turn my nose up at Robbo. No, of course, man, of course. KT was great against Dundee. Once Sanachi came on, we got even better. Mark Duffy, I would echo that as well. I thought we were very good on the left. Our travelling fans simply put are the best. These away games don't worry me. Martin's doing all the worrying for us. Colin Rogers, love that. Robbo looked a bit washed last 2 seasons. We're getting to our Robertson chat a little bit, but again, I would hasten to add, we would only need him to be in top gear 12 games a season. You know, so I think you could get that. You could get the Champions League performances out of him. You can get Derby performances out of him. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I would take him all day, every day. Even if it's for a year or 2, and then you let him go to MLS afterwards or something. Because again, I don't think he's going to retire anytime soon. Yeah. Simon Fideni. Imagine Robertson at the wind-up in Mordor. Potential Bruni-esque. I could see it totally, because Robbo, you know, will wear his medals onto the pitch a bit, you know what I mean, and put some people in their place. And he has got Premier League teams looking at him. Yeah, same as Tierney. Like, Tierney could have stayed in the Prem. Oi. Right. Okay, guys. I'll be back tomorrow, and we will preview Celtic v Livy, whatever it is in the midweek. It's Livingston, isn't it? And we'll probably have a press conference to go over. And if you haven't done so already, please vote on the poll that we've got on the channel, and I'll get a regular schedule up and going as well. Let me know your thoughts and feedback. There wasn't really many highlights to analyse in this game anyway, but in future, I'll probably just have them pre-prepped on the board here. And we'll have like graphics and images to go through and stuff. But there wasn't really anything from the game at the weekend for me to pre-prepare. I didn't feel anyway. Would you want backing Tierney up as a young... Yeah, I get that, Liam. So Liam's saying what you would want backing up Tierney as a young 20, 21-year-old on an up-and-coming left-back dying to establish themselves in the game, a sensible club would go out and spend 10 million on a player like that. I kind of agree. So you know you've got Tierney for life, essentially. You should have an understudy to him that is a prospect you can give game time to and a platform to, that you can probably hustle and sell quite well over a year or two. Now, imagine we bought Alex Valle for 3 million quid and then sold him for 6 million quid. You know that, and I know Valle was Valle here with Tierney? No, he wasn't. But that kind of vibe, that's totally spot on. I make you right there. But there's also a lot to be said for having established guys in there. Like, I think Tierney and Sarachi is a really good shake-up. It's quite dicey because if they both get injured at the same time, you're down the creek without a paddle. But I do think, you know, like, it's again, if Tierney's out, you don't want to be taking the chance on like a guy that's not really done it before or is in the middle of trying to figure it out for themselves. Whereas Sarachi, I don't think anyone blinks when he comes on. It's like, cool, he's going to take over. So I'm with you there, Liam. I'm with you generally, but there's definitely horses and courses. Nice vlog yet again. 40 million for me. I don't know what that means. Sorry. Oh, 4 p.m. Oh, sorry. It's 4 p.m. Awesome. And yeah, thanks everyone that's tuned in live and loud. If you've watched this after we live, thank you very much. All feedback is welcome, so drop it in the comment section. I really appreciate it. And if you've not done so already, hit the like button. It goes a long way to supporting the show. Helps us find some more Jungle Gyms to come and hang out with us. We're just under the number 67. That's a magic number for us here. We love the number 88 on this channel. And of course, if we can smash into 100, 200 likes, it makes a huge difference. It really, really does. But get voting on the poll. And ideally by Wednesday, we can get a schedule running and we'll try that out for about a month or so and see how it goes with you guys. Get voting on the poll. Thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hail, hail. And won the hoops.